It's about integrating it into yourself, right? Being aware of your ego, not letting it run you, but using it for the fuel to get done what you need to get done. Without ego, we never would have wrote on anything, right? Like, think about the massive amount of ego it takes to be like, yeah, the stuff I paint, I'm going to force you to look at it. You don't even get to choose. It's just there. Or the massive amount of ego it takes to tattoo someone. My drawing is good enough that you should wear it forever.
Stuck in your skin.
You have tattoos from like 15 years ago that I did that shouldn't be stuck in skin anymore.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, but I had enough ego that was driving me going like, no, you could do it, you could do it, you could do it. That I just did it. Like if that was gone, you do nothing. You were Wall-E people sitting in chairs and getting 700 pounds and never walking again,
Just think of Idiocracy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Dude, it's true.
Your ego can shield you from that. It can stop you from becoming cattle, right?
Isn't that the beautiful part of youth, though? Is like, because we met,
Yeah.
like, literally 30 years ago. 97. So, like, that's wild to think about, dude.
Yeah.
And so, we were significantly different humans at significantly different seasons.
Yes.
And it is really interesting to think of who we were as individuals and then, like, what we were doing, why you were doing things you were doing. Like, it's hyper fascinating to at least have the context, right? Like, like we were talking about earlier, is like we have contrast now, long-term contrast to be like, oh, dang, yeah.
Yeah, we've got to see how those ramifications play out, right?
Yeah.
You get to see, was it worth it, right? Like, which is one of the most interesting things, because, like, again, speaking about your parents, think about how much, like, secretivism you had to employ to do the things we were doing. And the trouble that you got into.
Yeah, there was consequences, but it was control.
Right, but in the end, you end up here, right? Like, were the ramifications worth the effort?
Oh yeah, the sufferings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, like the suffering, if anything, only ripened the fruit. Going through that and realizing, yeah, I'm willing to struggle for this. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for unknown reasons, Because you don't know that you're going to be 40 years old sitting in your studio where you get to paint whenever you want and paint beauty. Like, you don't know that.
Yeah.
You're just
at 13?
Out there. Yeah.
No.
100%.
I actually had that thought not that long ago. I was working on the Jeep here and I was like, dude, in my 20s, when I was underneath a car in the gravel in an alley and I was soaked in like cold rain, like and racking my knuckles and being miserable, like thinking about doing it in here with all the lighting dry while it's pouring rain outside with all the power tools that I have now, I'm like, dude, this was a wet dream at 20. Like, this is unimaginable at 13.
Which is so funny because now at 42, to me, the wet dream's the other side. It's being soaked and out in unfavorable conditions and like having to sneak around and having all those points of friction. I love being a career artist. But I definitely didn't realize how much of who I am as an artist I lost when I had stepped away from that.
Right.
Like there is something, maybe it's an authenticity, maybe it's a connection to the work that I make because the work is so influenced by those actions, right? So much of what you do when you go out and risk it to paint is improvisation. It's dictated by your surroundings. It's dictated by the time. And there's like a limiting factor that you can no longer get authentically without it, right? And there's something in that. There's something in that difficulty. There's something in the rejection. There's something in I don't really know how to word it. But the layers of friction between you and the creation gains something that may not even be visible.
Yes.
Right, but the motion, the mission, the hurdles you overcome. Espo's books, Stephen Powers, The Art of Getting Over, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't about what's left behind. It's about the art of getting over, to do it. And when you stop getting over, I think that something falls out of the work.
Yes.
I don't know how to put it, but I notice that, like, if I have a healthy balance, it's there again. You know, like
I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. Because I'm going back to that article that the Blackbird just wrote that I read to you. Yeah. Well, I didn't read it to you, but I wrote the comments. Yeah. But I summarized it. The point is like the thing that artists, traditional artists, like, you know, studio artists, people, like, they struggle with is that they end up collecting inventory. Like, I've got pieces right here, up here, like, they're in here, right? I'm surrounded by it. The difference between this and the graffiti aspect, or at least I'll say my niche and yours, which is railcar graffiti, is like, this can sit here. Yeah. No one will force this out of here. And there are a lot of things that come out of that, which is like, each one of those was an experience in time. Mm-hmm. And each one of those time experiences had a different energy. It had a different teaching moment. It had a different arrangement of circumstances that went into the experience of life in that moment that you were working on it. Right. So that moment of expression had a multitude of arrangements attached to it. Yes. And sometimes we keep it for reasons whatever. The difference, and that's why I shared the comment I did with him, was that the beautiful thing about the railcar graffiti, this specifically, is you have to let it go. Yeah. You can't hold on to that experience. Yeah. You have to let it go. It lives its own life. Yeah. And all you are left with is the memory of the presence of doing it. Yes. Is the action. The only thing you're left with is the action.
Image means nothing. The
it doesn't mean anything.
Meant everything.
It was the experience.
The people, the smells, the coyotes.
Whatever.
You know, like, whatever it is, like, you know, I'll hear coyotes at night and then just think about being down in the dog yard listening to the coyotes on the other side of the river howling at us because we're down there. You know, like, and it's like a time machine. Yes. You know, I'm instantly back to the sights, the smells, everything.
Just like music.
And when I wasn't doing it, you know, I took the 10 years away and I was making art the whole time. You know, I was working professionally. I was doing illustrations, doing tattoos. You know, I'm working the whole time. The best my career had ever been. The work slowly degraded. It became worse and worse over time. And I couldn't figure it out. There was something that was missing. And when coming back, you know, to my midlife crisis and getting out there and lurking around rail cars again, something changed. It isn't maybe even visible for other people. I still think the work looks worse than it used to. I think that, you know, I'm definitely following the, like, Picasso path of degrading as I get older, but, like, the spirit that I feel when I see the things I do has improved tenfold. You know, I see it and I just go like, oh, there it is again. And maybe it's coincidence. You know, I shouldn't advocate too strong for vandalism, but, like, for my path, it's what's working. It's the thing that, it's the spark. It's the secret sauce, the little salt that no one sees.
Right, but it's not the actual
it's just
technical vandalism itself. It's the experience
it's going out
of
and
the
doing
thing
it.
you're doing.
It's going out and it's hunting trains, you know, like literally stalking places again, and you know, figuring out when and where I could slip in unnoticed and do whatever I feel like doing. Those experiences, when I go to art that is outside of those experiences, remain in the creation, right? Because that, just living that way is creating a unseen force in my creation process where I think that way.
It's life-giving.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of mentioned earlier when I talked about the idea of the muse kind of thing, was like all artists kind of are gravitating towards this muse. And I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it's an external, or not even external, it's an internal experience in this external world that is life-giving to us in a way to inspire us.
I think the easiest way for me to wrap my mind around that is the idea of like an amplification device. You know, like a Wi-Fi repeater. You know, it's the thing that picks up whatever the signal is and
boosts it,
right? And then there isn't you know, this is where I differ in the idea of a traditional muse, because that's usually just like a singular person that inspires or whatever.
Traditionally a young woman.
But I think of it more like amplifier theory. You know, like the idea that like one amplifier can reach a certain amount of decibels, two will reach higher than they should because the waves mesh amplifies more. I don't know the full technicals on it, but I know that it works. Mm-hmm. So like the more muses, the more things that are amplifying whatever the energy is that you're trying to put out, that you have actively in your life, the better the sound quality will get, the louder it will get at very least.
Yes, and it's not singular. It's not singular like we were discussing earlier, where it's like this one, because again, the moment and presence of you putting that expression of art on a car, that is a small fraction of time, similar to like what I taught people with welding. As I was like, dude, people will be like, oh, does he know how to weld? I don't care if he knows how to weld.
Yeah.
That's like 5 minutes out of an 8-hour day. The rest of it's fabrication and thinking and geometry and producing and
how do you solve
laying things out. How do you solve problems? Like that's what matters the most. So like with this, like that's a small fraction. The bigger part is the experience, like you mentioned, which is like the study, the pursuit of something that's rare. Like, oh, the freaking coyotes. Oh, the experience of this and that. All of that is what's amplifying to a higher degree in energy.